and we desperately need it in these last days. Can I get an amen to that?
Values, moral issues, government, economy, education, work, responsibility. What we think about these depends on our worldview. Now, VCY America presents Worldview Radio with Brannon Howse.
And welcome. Glad you are with us. This is a solemn day, October 7th, 2025. It was 2 years ago today. Some 1,200 Jews were murdered, slaughtered by Hamas. We went on the broadcast airwaves that day. Aaron Lavarco, myself, Annie Cyrus, Sharam Hadian, Usama Dakdok. We broadcast for many, many hours that weekend. And we said right away, we were going to show everything we can get our hands on, and it will not be scrambled because we want this burned into the memory of as many people as possible, because it will only be a few short days before there is a 180-degree turn and Israel becomes the global enemy. Everything will turn. You just watch. It happened faster and bigger than I think any of us expected, and not just from the left. The right seems as aggressive of anti-Semites as anyone else. That's why I've often referred to it over the years as the new Reich. That's why I wrote the book, The Coming Religious Reich. And people that I used to interview, people I used to work with, I'm disappointed in so many of them that seem to be, well, as dumb as a box of rocks. They seem to have zero education in this area, yet they want to be experts on the Zionist and Israel with their Jew hatred. These are people that have areas of expertise if they just stayed in their lane, but apparently they don't have the discernment that God gave a gnat. And so the anti-Semitism is rising on the right as well as the left. As we celebrate, or I should say commemorate, that's the word, commemorate this solemn day where so many were lost. And then, of course, we have the many that are still held hostage. I was a little shocked to find out a while ago that apparently there is a movie out. I was not aware of this. I guess it's called Red Alert. I don't know if Aaron has seen it. I was also shocked to find out it's by Paramount Plus. It does seem like it's mostly in, I'm guessing, Hebrew. I'll have to ask Aaron. But it's told without distance or mercy, the day rebuilt in full, unbearable sequence. If you think you've seen it before, you haven't. Some families in Israel have said it's painful to see this story told while the loss is still so raw, while they're mourning their dead and waiting for loved ones to come home. The pain is real. However, the series was created to bear witness so the world never forgets what they've endured. Red Alert. I did not know about it till minutes ago. I watched a little bit of the trailer. I can't understand it. I'm pretty sure that's Hebrew I'm hearing. But I'm thankful this is being done because we here at our network, our organization, are finding the circle is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. I was also pleased today to be informed by Dr. Andy Woods, who went to see a new movie by my friend Dinesh D'Souza. Is it called The Dragon Prophecy, guys? I guess it's based on some of the work by Jonathan Cahn. Now, I'm not a huge Jonathan Cahn follower at all. In fact, I disagreed with his book, Harbinger, because I didn't think it lined up with the scriptures at all related to 9/11. And I just had disagreements. I interviewed him twice, to be fair. So they were like, hey, here's my take on it. You can give me your take on it. And Jimmy DeYoung and I talked a lot about it. I just didn't agree with that part. So I wasn't sure what to make of this movie because I haven't seen it, and I wasn't sure I was even going to go see it. But Dr. Woods told me, oh no, I went to see it, and this is what you and I believe, Brandon. This is what we have been teaching about Genesis chapter 3, Revelation chapter 12. So I am thankful to see that there are some movies coming out, documentaries coming out that are helping us to not only document and remind people of the horrors of October 7th, but also why we as Christians, as Christian Zionists, are standing where we are. Why we believe as we do. And why we constantly repeat ourselves. I know it's important, we do. I'm not here to defend the Israeli government. I don't really probably care that much for the Israeli government. I don't really care much for any government anymore, because none of the governments really seem to be really committed to anything but nickels and noses. They're only committed to how much money they can make and take and plunder. Sometimes they do something good, sometimes they do. But overall, most all of these politicians are self-absorbed. They're really not functioning for the people. Sometimes they do, but overall, most of these guys are not good people when it comes to their character. And that's across the board, all around the world. So I'm not a big fan of most governments anyway, because we've strayed from what is the function and purpose of government. And it is to be an extremely limited government. Go read John Locke. I was reading more of John Locke today, who the founders so leaned upon. He and so many like him would be absolutely disgusted by what has come of America. How we plunder and steal and financially rape our fellow man in the name of government. So I'm not a big fan of the federal government. That goes without saying. I'm not a big fan of the Israeli government. But I love my fellow Americans that love truth. And those that don't, well, we're trying to win them. I love the Jewish people, even though some of them hate me. They hate what we stand for. They even hate themselves. There's an awful lot of self-hating Jews out there. But of course, they're following a long line of tradition, following guys like Sigmund Freud and Karl Marx and George Soros and others. But I say all this because we are standing where we are because we understand anti-Semitism. We understand what this is ultimately about. We understand this battle that's spiritual. We understand this is demonically energized. And apparently that's what this new film by Dinesh D'Souza gets into. Genesis 3, fall. This spiritual battle that's unleashed and really is further revealed in its climax and crescendo in Revelation chapter 12. And yet we have people who are very bright in their area if they would stay in their lane or at least get educated before they drove out of their lane. And yet they don't know anything about Genesis chapter 3. They don't know anything about Revelation chapter 12. They know nothing about the Balfour Declaration, the San Remos Conference. They don't know anything about any of these things. But yeah, they want to talk about the Jews, Israel, Israel, Israel. And just for the record, you can give me a polygraph. I don't say what I say because I'm being paid. The Israeli government has never given me one dime. Although if they want to, worldviewfoundation.com, dump as much in there as you want, Israel, go right ahead. But so far, they've not done one thing. I can't even get them to grant me interviews to try to help them. And that goes to the point, I can't figure out how folks are so dumb to think the Jews are running the world when they frankly are some of the worst public relations people probably ever born. It's a good thing they got into some of the line of work they got into, because PR certainly is not one of their gifts, at least not when it comes to the Israeli government. But we're to believe Israel's running around paying $7,000 per post when they won't even take airtime on 74 Christian stations nationwide, many of them 50,000, 100,000 watt stations in major cities, not to mention Worldview Tube. And we beg them and we call them and we email them and we tell them we have a reporter on the ground in Israel that we pay out of our own pocket. And they are either too busy are too dense to return an email and a phone call. But they're willing to pay $7,000 a post for every social media post. Really? I don't think I buy that. If they're that desperate, why would they not take all the free interviews we have offered? Israel's the size of New Jersey. It's a little country. I know they got their hands full, but they've got people. They've got staff. They apparently can't return phone calls or emails. But the White House, this White House, they return our emails. They return our emails and they take our phone calls. And this is a much bigger country than Israel. So they either really are disorganized or they're that clueless. But somehow we're to think these people rule the world. Well, I'm telling you, there's no way they could rule the world. They're a smart people. They're a bright people. They're an innovative people. But folks act like they're somehow omniscient, all-powerful, all-knowing, so organized. So organized they can rule the world. Let me tell you, they're so disorganized they can't even return an email or a phone call. But we're to believe that they are paying $7,000 per social post? No. And yet, social media is awash. Even on this day, October 7th, can they not give it a rest, the anti-Semites, for one day? Not give it a rest. You know, they want to go around debating how many Jews really died in the Holocaust. Well, there's just no way 6 million people died. 6 million Jews, 5 million non-Jews. They never really want to talk about the non-Jews. They always, well, there's no way 6 million Jews died. Well, do you guys want to talk about the 5 million non-Jews? Well, I saw that last week going around and again and again. The numbers don't add up. You couldn't get rid of that many bodies that fast. Are they not aware they had police officers who went around Poland shooting people point blank, letting the Jews dig their own grave, mass graves, shooting them so they would fall into the grave and then they would bury them? And there was 1 million killed that way alone. 1 million. Can we talk about the other ways it went down? And what is an acceptable number to these people? They want to doubt 6 million. Okay. Would you believe 3 million? Would you believe 4 million? Well, I've read the reports. I went digging, and I found how they came up with the number of 6 million. But let's say it's 2 million. Are you trying to tell me that somehow the murder of 2 million people because they're Jews? Well, then that number, we can live with that. No, we cannot live with that. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm an independent. I'm a Christian. We're going to get into this more with Aaron when we come back.
You woke up with a sore throat and a low-grade fever. You know you are getting sick, so here's your choices. You can get sicker and miss work, try to see a doctor this week, or sit hours in a crowded waiting room at urgent care.
I have a smarter option for you. Open your medical emergency kit. Match your symptoms to doctor-recommended prescription in your booklet and take the right meds now and get well faster.
This is not a first aid kit. It's like having an urgent care in your home. It includes doctor-prescribed medications to treat over 39 medical issues like respiratory infections, strep throat, pneumonia, UTIs, and more.
No waiting to see the doctor and no standing in line at the pharmacy. It's right here.
Every home should have at least one medical emergency kit, and here's how to order.
Go to worldviewhealthcare.com. Your kit to treat dozens of common and serious illnesses is rushed to your door. worldviewhealthcare.com. That's worldviewhealthcare.com.
The emergency kit available at worldviewhealthcare.com. Make sure you don't have to go to urgent care. I got pneumonia. I didn't have to go. I took this last year. Stayed at home, went to bed. All right, welcome back. Glad you're with us. Worldview Radio, our website, worldviewradio.com, worldviewradio.com. Joining me now is Aaron Lavarco out of Israel on this solemn day, the 2-year mark of the murder of Jews. And yet here we have our own government and others talking about a Palestinian state. I guess if you murder enough Jews, you get your own state and the world bows down to you. You can imagine the righteous indignation, Aaron, of the people under the altar crying out, "Oh, Lord, how long before you avenge our death?" He gives them a robe. His white robe says, "Wait just a little while." But he's going to do it. And wrath is being stored up for the day of wrath. I don't know if we will be allowed, I'm not sure I want to stand and see the great white throne judgment. I don't know. But books will be opened, plural, books. Not because God he knows, he doesn't need them. It's to show the world and those being judged, this is not being made up. And I don't know if we as believers will be allowed to stand there and see this. But can you imagine the number of people we are going to see in this long line that we personally know? We have tried to rescue them over and over again. But I'm telling you, when I hear this anti-Semite claptrap, it tells me this person either is a very, very, very young baby Christian that has been filled with hyper-Calvinism and Luther and Calvin and the rest of these guys, or they're not Christians. And I think a lot of them are not Christians. Aaron, on this day, 2-year mark, did you ever think you and I would be sitting here 2 years later with this being the climate all around the world toward the Jews after what we all witnessed October 7th, 2023?
Hi, Brandon. Maybe to be honest, a part of me would say yes, because remember what I said. I said straight away after October the 7th, I said, you watch, Brandon, we've got world sympathy now, which we had for maybe, a few days, a week. And I said, you watch, this is going to backfire. This is going to turn against us. And here we are 2 years later. I think we've got more enemies than friends now. But I do want to say thank you to you and Worldview and many others who are listening, churches that have held vigils, put roses, flags, memorial things, whatever, to remember our fallen 1,200 who were brutally murdered, burned, cut in two. Thank you to all those that have shared in our grief and our pain and our trauma. And the sad thing is, we're still going through it. Today was a very, very hard day. Woke up at 6:30, which was pretty much exactly the time that the war broke out in the morning on Shabbat, Simchat Torah, the 50th commemoration of the Yom Kippur War when we were attacked by surprise, and the same thing happened. So it brought back a lot of memories, a lot of pain, been watching television a lot, seeing family members eulogize their loved ones, their grandparents, their children, going to their grave sites, laying a wreath, some flowers. Incredibly painful day, but a solemn day, a day that we'll never forget, and we should never forget. At the same, and another thing I wanted to thank you for the commiserations and comfort for us. It really is a balm, like a balm of Gilead for us, because I'm reading, Brandon, on social media of groups who are celebrating today.
Yep. On university
You know-
campuses in Canada, America.
Unbelievable.
We have this linked at worldviewreport.com. I don't know if any of you have seen it yet. October7files.com. And the 7 is actual the number. October 7, so October, spell out October, then the number 7 files.com. And I've linked it at worldviewreport.com today. Organized evil, the planning behind October 7th. This is so detailed, and this has to be archived. And yet, as we listen to the fact that Qatar is sending $40 billion into the United States, and I put that article up again today to remind people that this is going on. Well, this is an older article, but it's about the money coming in here from Qatar alone. We could talk Saudi Arabia and other places. $40 billion. And yet, all we hear about is how the state of Israel and the Jews are buying off people left and right. You know, let me ask you, I've not been contacted. As I said, we can't even get an interview. So clearly they haven't even called to offer me money. I'm sure your government knows you're on the air. I mean, your government, you know, has got pretty good intel of what's going on in your little country the size of New Jersey. I'm pretty sure your country, your government knows that you're working for us, an American broadcast outlet. Have they ever contacted you and offered to pay you or told you what they want you to say on our airwaves? Have they ever done that, Aaron?
No, they haven't, Brandon. Not yet. But you know what? I hope it happens one day as we Messianic Jews growing in number. And by the way, I happen to know personally a Messianic Jew. I'm not going to mention his name. He is one of the military spokesmen on a governmental level. So they are behind. It doesn't matter who you are. So if they do know that I'm, reporting, yes, it would be wonderful if they supported. I think it's going to be a matter of time that we get support, Brandon. Let's pray into that.
Well, and that'd be great. That'd be great. But the point I'm making is, if this government of yours is so interested in buying up media people and controlling media people, why would they try to control media people they have to convince of your position when you have people like you and me that are already biblically, historically, and Jew, tuned into the story? So why would they spend so much energy trying to convert influencers into supporters who don't really know how to talk about the issue, where we have us? This is who we are, what we do, what we believe. And they haven't reached out to us. The point I'm making is I'm not buying all of this talk about how the Israeli government is going around buying up people and controlling people. Right. Yes, Benjamin Netanyahu talked about using social media. Fine. But that doesn't mean that they're controlling the media or the world, because if they were, you would think they would at least contact you and me and say, hey, you know what? You guys are great because you really know it. You are great spokespersons. And you know what? We need to make sure you guys get everywhere. How can we financially support you guys so that you can make sure your team is getting this to millions more than you already are? We just need to take what you guys are doing already. We don't really need to change your message. We just need to amplify it. You would think they would do that if they're into going around buying up media and controlling the media, but they're not, which proves to me this is all a lie. They're not doing this, certainly not on some massive scale.
Brandon, did anybody say that you should have been a lawyer?
Yes, I actually have had that said to me multiple times, but
the logic that you've just used is brilliant, because if the Israeli government was controlling the world, then they would phone us and they would say, we'll pay you to help us control the world.
Yes.
But they're not doing that.
You know what they would also say? They would also call me up and say, hey, Brandon, as an evangelical Christian Zionist in America, can you help us organize more Christian Zionists? We'd like to fund you to get you to hold conferences and events and book speakers and do multimedia things and draw a crowd so we can show people, lots of people in your event with your message to highlight that come join our movement. We have a lot on our side. We want you to see the numbers. They would be calling me to organize such events.
Brennan, we need to pray into this, and you've given me an idea. If I can find the right open door, I'm going to start knocking on those doors based on your argument, because I think, what we can do for the state of Israel, we can bring light, we can bring the truth. But I love what you were saying before about how Israel is so bad at PR and correspondence. And actually, as you were saying that, I was thinking, is it any wonder when God chose Moses, who had a stutter?
So since your beginning, you've had a communication problem.
and then in the new covenant, God chooses Paul. And when in 1 Corinthians 2, he says, when I came to you, I did not come with eloquence of speech. I was timid in fear. So we have a history, a bad history.
Yes, you do. Well, again, I just get frustrated because I don't like what I'm seeing happening to the Jewish people. And I know there are solutions. And I just keep thinking, when is the Israeli government going to get invested in some of us in America that can help them? But they don't even want to let us interview their ambassador to Israel. They don't want to take advantage of the platform. But boy, they sure sit around and bellyache a lot and complain a lot. And I'm like, I'm tired of hearing Netanyahu and the rest of them complain about not getting a fair deal or their message out or being attacked when you don't even take advantage of the friends you have here, as Christian Zionists.
Well, Brennan, like I said, and for the viewers who are listening, please pray into that. In the same way that the Lord raised up an Aaron for Moses, maybe he'll raise up another Aaron or someone else to be a spokesman.
Absolutely. Well, I want to go to this. Here it is. America for sale. Qatar's $40 billion spending spree buys influence and control of elite institutions. But this is crickets on social media. This is crickets on social media on the right compared to the number of people on the new Reich that want to talk about Israel. We got an Israel problem and all that Candace and Tucker and others are stirring up. Well, why are they not talking about the $40 billion? How much money has Tucker gotten from Qatar? That's what I want to know. But here we have a real problem, a real infiltration of America and American media, American institutions from Qatar. Now, I want to go to what's going on with you today as a nation. I think, Logan, we have some video footage. I don't know how well it'll play for radio. We got to get to that. But I have my Red Alert app on my phone, as you know, and I was awakened in the night by that app going off. And I knew immediately what it was. My mind now having it for the going on 3 years that I've had it, 2.5 years. I know exactly what it is when I hear it. And I said to myself in my half awake, half asleep state, it's October 7th in Israel right now. It's October 7th in Israel right now. I think we were still late in the night on the 6th. I don't think we had crossed into the 7th yet. And I thought it may be the 6th here, but it's already the 7th. And you guys had rockets coming in. And I want to ask you about that, because I think you had attacks coming from drones from Yemen. I think you had rockets from Gaza. And I think you had some Hezbollah terrorists that were doing some stuff as well. So I want to get all that right after we come back. Don't go away. We have a big announcement, folks. It's called Bella Melt. In the first week, you lost 3 pounds on this, right?
That is correct.
Your GLP-1 is a natural hormone that's in every single one of our bodies. And your GLP-1 lets you know if you're full. It's a satiety hormone. So when your GLP is working properly, it does help suppress your appetite as well as reduce those cravings. So what it's going to do best is it's going to reduce your sugar cravings or any other cravings you have in your body. It's going to suppress that appetite. But where Melissa got the most benefit, I think, over the last week week was the L-carnitine. The L-carnitine tells your mitochondria, this is where you make, we talked about it before, this is where you produce energy in your cells. It actually tells those mitochondria to burn fat for fuel.
MelissaHouseBG.com just now introducing for the first time Bella Melt with GLP-1 Fast Action. All right, welcome back. Glad you're with us. Worldview Radio, website worldviewradio.com. So I want to ask you real quick, here on October 7th, we have to move quickly. We have so much to get to. Aaron, were you guys under attack today from where? Where were you under attack from today on the second day of remembering the second year of October 7th attacks of 2023? Who was shooting at you today? Why was my red alert app going off?
Well, you said Houthis from Yemen. That was from our southern border. And a number of drones were fired. And thankfully, we intercepted them before they were able to get into our territory. However, there were a number of missiles that were fired from the Gaza Strip. Now, we have full control of between 75 to 80% of the Gaza Strip. And that's pretty much the northern part. So it came from the south, which gives our residents a little bit more time to either run to a shelter or prepare themselves, or our military. And we were able to intercept them. They came into the central regions. Thankfully, there were no injuries and they were all pretty much intercepted. But this is basically almost like what's like a snake that's been killed, but it's still wriggling. Brandon, Hamas are finished. They're done. They haven't laid down their weapons yet, but they are done. We're counting down the hours. The big question is, are we going to get our hostages back or not? In any event, Hamas are finished. They know it. The world knows it. The Qataris know it. But they're dragging their feet, as our ex-ambassador to the United States, Michael Oren, put it. They're dragging their feet. And these missiles that are being sent, it's just a little last effort to flex a little bit of muscle, to keep us on our toes, to try and terrorize us, and to try and pit us against each other and against our government. And they chose the day to do it. And of course, you know, anyone that says the Palestinian people are innocent in this war, well, a lot of Palestinian people today, Brandon, were celebrating what happened 2 years ago. And so
I saw the videos of that. I saw Palestinians in the Gaza celebrating what happened 2 years ago.
Throwing candy to the children, shooting fireworks in the air. To them, and not to mention commemorating their martyrs who died, who are in their eyes heroes.
Yep.
And this is what children are taught.
And let me ask you this, Aaron. What are all of these anti-Semites? And, by the way, let me just say, I won't name names. Some of these people, if I understand it, running around being such anti-Semites, again, they're very, very, I'm going to use a biblical word, foolish, debased, darken-hearted. Romans 1. I think one of them was out there. I think he was a photographer for an OnlyFans gal. Do I have that right, guys? Yes. And that was his supposed girlfriend, taking photos and videos of her, correct? With his man bun. And someone showed this to me a few months ago and said, do you know who this is? It was a video of him from back then. And they said, do you know who this is? And I said, I have no idea who that is. And they told me. So he's changed his appearance and apparently now wants to be the leading expert on exposing the Jews. Well, any wonder that someone like that would be used? Huh. And then the others who now want to gravitate to that guy from fields and professions that are legitimately needed expertise, but somehow they now have to start slumming it. For what? Clickbaits? Traffic? So there is a dark, dark underbelly to some of these people that I have personally seen when I found out who some of these guys are, what they've done in the past. And maybe we have to start exposing some of it. But what are these people going to say, Aaron? What are they going to say when we have our October 7th in the U.S., which is being planned? All the earmarks are there. You and I said it that day with Annie and Sharam and Usama on October 7th, 2 years ago today, that it's going to happen here because they said we're going to do it again and again and again, and we're bringing it to America. Well, I have just been informed while I'm sitting here by our gal, Annie, whose show we carry. She's from Iran, speaks Farsi, does a lot of our translation work on the IRGC. Iran just hung a 5-story banner in Tehran with a message in Farsi, Arabic, and Hebrew. Quote, "What's coming will be greater than the storm." Now, interesting that they would make that 5 stories in Tehran, in Farsi, Arabic, and Hebrew. What's coming will be greater than the storm. I want to know what all you anti-Semites are going to say when we have a massive terrorist attack. Are you going to blame that on the Jews too? Are you going to blame that on the Jews as well? Aaron?
I'm pretty stunned at that, Brandon. I did not hear that happened.
This is breaking news.
Yeah, that is concerning. Is it a bluff or is there something behind it? I would guess that there's something behind it. I would take it very seriously. Their history is when they make threats, they usually try to carry it through. And we know that the American generals, all of the American generals have been meeting recently. What was the number? About 800?
Yep.
The USS General Ford, the largest aircraft carrier in the world, is making its way over. Something is going down, and maybe your intelligence and our intelligence know all about it, but they're not opening up to the public. But in answer to your question, Brandon, it's like us here. Sadly, it took an October the 7th to wake a lot of us up. I was talking to someone today who said to me that a lot of people who were secular have become either religious or at least are confessing in God, are at least turning to God. And that is a cause of October the 7th. It may take something like that, Brandon, and we talked about that, to wake people up.
Mm-hmm. Well, there it is. There it is for those watching by television. Look how big that is on that building, Aaron. And they got a big red 7. They have rockets coming down. They have an IRGC guy with his rifle, with his green headband, IRGC, Hezbollah. And then he's got what looks to be an IDF soldier on the ground with his hand clutched onto his shoulder.
The Ayatollah from Iran said about 9 months ago, he made an interesting statement. He said, even if we don't succeed this round, we're not going away. We are not going to lay down our weapons. We will continue. And of course, he quoted his God, Allah. Mm-hmm. He said, if Allah doesn't give us victory now, he will in the future. And look, it could well be, based on some reports that I've been reading, that what happened when the President of the United States sent 2 B-2 bombers and blew up the nuclear reactor, either it didn't fully do the job or there are some other nuclear reactor sites that are hidden, that have not been touched, or, for all we know, the Iranians have purchased some from people like the Russians or the North Koreans? We don't know. And this is where the military intelligence, they are the ones that need to be up to speed on these kind of things. So it is scary. It is scary, but this is a war. This is a battle. This is a fight, and they are willing to fight to the death. Are we? Are we ready to stand up and, as the prophets said to the people, awake, awake?
And we are getting polling from our friend Mark Mitchell with Rasmussen, who was just with us, that going to war to defend a foreign country isn't popular. He's got a poll coming out. But defending Israel is least popular. Now, I don't know what they mean by defending Israel. That's what I want to know. I have no problem providing you guys with weaponry and intelligence and all that stuff. But I have to be consistent. I don't want boots on the ground anywhere in the country. We need them on the ground here. We are flooded with enemies here. But the anti-Semitism, I just saw a poll of the number of American Jews that are against Israel. Did you hear what I just said, Aaron? American Jews, a new poll, the number of American Jews that are against your own country.
Brandon, the reason why is it's a lot easier living as an American Jew with your head down, minding your own business, staying out of politics, staying out of religion. It's a lot easier as a Jew in America doing that, right? Keeping your Jewish nose down and keeping your nose out of other people's business. It's a lot easier doing that. You take a stand, it's another matter. You're asking for trouble. But the problem is putting your head down, putting your head in the sand like an ostrich also doesn't work.
Well, here's another guy. Here's a guy on social media saying that if you do you realize that if the U.S. stopped funding Israel and the paychecks dried up for influencers, probably 80% of the pro-Israel content on this platform, meaning X, would immediately evaporate. You are watching a funded, scripted narrative run by war criminals and evil people trying to scrub their own Holocaust from history. Aaron?
Yeah, well, there's probably a little bit of truth in that a lot of the content would disappear because there wouldn't be enough funding to do that. But you know what? From an Israeli perspective, we'll find a way. We'll find a way to survive.
But that's implying again that somehow Israel is funding all of this. I see no proof Israel is funding all these influencers. Do you know of any?
Well, we do have our deep state, Brandon. We do. We do have newspapers on the liberal left that are funded by the deep state. We do. And they are in people's pockets in Washington. I'm
going to ask again. Do we have any proof Israel or the deep state are funding influencers in the U.S.?
I've read some reports.
Right, but do we have any proof?
Proof. Apart from the reports, no.
Now, do we have people like Charlie Kirk that were supposedly had Jewish donors? Sure. That's different. Donors can do what they want with their own money. And apparently he had a donor that was Jewish giving $2 million that didn't want to keep seeing Tucker on the platform and didn't want to support that. That's their prerogative. I'm talking about the Israeli government. Do we have any documentation that the Israeli government or the Israeli deep state is funding these influencers? I see a lot of rumors, but I see no proof.
I think that would almost be borderline espionage, wouldn't it?
I would think a lot of them would have to report this, wouldn't they, as some kind of foreign representative or lobbyist? We'll be right back. Hello, I'm Brandon House. I want to thank you for all your support at WVWFoundation.com that helps make possible pushing out 24/7 content for free. Without your support, we'd have to put it all behind a paywall. But thanks to you and your support through our foundation, we're able to push it out for free as a broadcast service and broadcast ministry of WVW Foundation. Please consider going there and setting up an automatic monthly contribution, or go there and make an occasional contribution.
If you prefer to support us through the mail, you'll find our mailing address there at wvwfoundation.com. You can also call and make your contribution over the phone by calling 901-825-0652. That's 901-825-0652. Again, all these details are available at wvwfoundation.com. Thank you for your support as we try to help people around the world understand the times through the lens of a Christian worldview. All right, welcome back. Glad you're with us. Worldview Radio, our website, worldviewradio.com. Be sure to stay tuned for Crosstalk coming up at the top of the hour on the VCY America Radio Network at vcy.org, vcy.org. Aaron LaVarco, our reporter on the ground in Israel, and we pay for him to be on the ground in Israel. When I say we, I mean you, me, those of us that are involved with our foundation, worldviewfoundation.com, worldviewfoundation.com. He is not brought to you by the Israeli government or the deep state. He is brought to you by you at worldviewfoundation.com. Now, I am pleased, Aaron, I want to get to the peace plan, where we're at with that. I am pleased, though, to find out before we went on the air today that there is this movie out on October 7th called Red Alert. I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch it because I'm pretty sure this is all in Hebrew. You tell me, Aaron. I'll play a little bit here. Here we go.
היית שם פעם?
בעזה? כשהייתי ילד היינו ניסים לשם עזה.
ולא פחדת?
היום אני לא מפחד.
All right, so is that Hebrew?
That is Hebrew, Brandon.
Okay,
yes.
so I hope they'll put out a version for us in America that we can watch with some English.
Well, did you see the English translation?
Hopefully they'll do an English translation.
No, they had, subtitles. Did you see them?
Oh, they did have, yeah, I saw that, but I don't want to watch a whole film with subtitles. That's a lot of work. I mean, I'll do it if I have to, but I again, here in America, people generally watch these films at night when they're tired and had a long day already. And we need to make it as easy for people as possible, and particularly children. Did it say in the tweet, did he say top line? I just want to, I would just watch or First Light in English. Oh, there might be an English version.
There you go. I don't know how they're going to do that unless
they'll dub it over. They'll dub it over.
Dub it over, yeah.
Sure. Have you never seen Ricky, Ricardo, and Lucy in Spanish and Russian? And I have. It's pretty hilarious. The mouth and the words definitely don't match a lot of the time. So maybe I can watch that tonight. Who knows? But I'm pleased to see that we're getting some films out there because education and media, we've got to use the media to remind people, teach people what this was all about. Do you know, Aaron, how many people in America still don't know a lot about October 7th? I've talked to some of them. They still don't know what October 7th was really all about.
Really? I mean, coming from here, it's just hard to believe, but I do believe you.
Logan, we should do a man on the street interviews in the next few days. Let's go do a man on the street interviews and ask, what do you know about the October 7th attack in Israel? And let's see what people say. I actually had to explain to people. I've had to explain to people what happened on October 7th.
Wow. Yeah, here it's almost the opposite, where it's just too much. We live and we breathe it, and at times it just gets overbearing.
Oh, I'm sure it does. Tell me where we're at with the Trump Gaza plan.
So as we are speaking, Brandon, we have a delegation in Cairo, Egypt. They are meeting with the Qataris, they are meeting with the Turks, and they are meeting with Hamas delegates. They're locking heads, Brandon. And are we surprised? No, we're not surprised. Hamas are playing hardball. We have agreed to hand over about 1,000 prisoners, including 250 that are murderers. The big one that they want, the big fish, they want a man called Marwan Barghouti, who's in prison for multiple murders. And he, for many years, has been touted as being the leader of the Palestinian Authority. And there's no way we're going to release him. It's not going to happen. The public won't allow Netanyahu to do that.
So is this
but
deal going to happen or not?
I don't know what to say, Brandon. All I can say is it seems that Bibi is playing hardball, but he's under a lot of pressure from the families, from the public to deliver more hostages. The pressure is intense. So it's just very, very, it's like a tug of war.
Okay, next question. Is Israel about to attack Iran and go alone if they have to?
That is beyond my knowledge. I don't know about that.
You are hearing talk of that, though, right?
Yeah, there is some preparations being talked about. If something's going to happen, it's probably going to be a surprise, like the 12-day war, like the Hezbollah, the pages, the operatives. But there is definitely talk. Something is going down for sure.
Okay, so you're hearing some of the same chatter we're hearing. I want to go back real quick to this idea of funding, that if Israel supposedly stopped funding people, all of this information on Twitter would go away. Well, what would happen if the $40 billion that Qatar has been giving elite institutions, so-called in America, how many of those institutions would collapse? How many of the Islamic organizations, how many of the interfaith dialogue organizations, how many of these fake Republican organizations would collapse if they stopped getting Gulf money, Saudi Arabia money, Qatar money? How many of them would collapse? That's the real question.
Brandon, why haven't they already collapsed? Why hasn't that funding stopped? Are the Qataris sending the funding under the guise that it's to help education, under the guise of we're doing this for the good of mankind? People need to wake up. People need to see.
Don't we have someone in the White House that's building hotels and golf courses in Qatar?
Yeah, that's a problem. There you go. That's a problem.
Didn't we just see an executive order saying we're willing to defend Qatar?
Yeah.
And how are we going to do that? We're going to spend taxpayer money to defend Qatar. Are you kidding me? I'm telling you, there are no human solutions for these problems. And in fact, the lack of any common sense and solutions is only setting the stage for the Antichrist, who will show up performing counterfeit miracles, signs, and wonders. Why will he do that? To try to validate who he is and his authenticity and veracity and need to be followed. All of this is just setting the stage for the guy that's going to show up, and then he gets involved. Aaron LaBarco, take care.
This has been Worldview Radio.
And we're back with WROS out of Jacksonville, Florida, and you here at Worldview Tube. Pick up on that. All that we're seeing right now shows there are no human solutions to this problem, and it's really just the confusion is setting the stage for Antichrist. Because Satan knows that eventually the Hegelian dialectic, the thesis, antithesis, idea, opposite idea, the conflict, the constant back and forth is going to wear people down and cause them to accept a guy who shows up performing counterfeit miracle signs and wonders to show that he is a facsimile, a copy, if you will, of Christ. Isn't it interesting? Christ did miracles not because he was trying to, entertain people. He did it to show who he was. That's why the apostles could do miracles, to validate their authority that they had, where it came from, and that they were qualified and empowered to lay down the foundation of the church. That's why it's called Acts, the remarkable acts they were doing. Why were they doing these acts? Who empowered them to do it? And here comes Satan's man performing counterfeit miracle signs and wonders to say to the world, well, look at me and the power I have, and that should show you that I am authentic, have authority, supernatural authority from on high, and worthy to be followed. Am I right, Aaron?
you're right, because you're following what God's word says is going to happen. And, when it comes to a one world government, all the signs are heading that way. In fact, I just heard the other day, 6,600 people in Sweden have already taken a chip under their skin.
Yeah.
6,600 people. We're going into cryptocurrency where I think when Gaza's finished, Brannon, I think we're going to see a lot of nations sign up for the Abraham Peace Accords. And I think there's going to be ushered in a time of peace. And it will be a time of peace, and it probably will be a time of prosperity. But then, of course, we're going to find out the true nature that any peace that's not predicated on truth, that's the issue. You can have peace, but is it based on truth? And whose truth? This is a big question, because the Muslims, they believe that they have the truth. They believe that the Quran is the final written code of truth. And we're told in the scriptures not to add or to take away from our code of ethics and truth. So it goes back to the Garden of Eden about the devil saying, questioning the validity of God's word. Did God really say? This is what I think it's going to come down to, a battle between the word of God and the Antichrist. The Antichrist is anti-God, anti-God's word. And they may come in and do it with signs and wonders and in a peaceful way to seduce. The Lord said many times, don't be deceived. Be not deceived. He kept on warning us. This is what we've got to be aware of.
100%. Aaron, we are going to play tonight. You're hearing this for the first time. Tonight at 5 Central, 6 Eastern Standard, we're going to have it'll be a hour special, Logan? 30-minute special. A 30-minute special of what you sent in to us. Tell our audience what you sent that we're going to be playing here at worldviewtube.com tonight, Tuesday night, October 7th at 5 p.m. Central, 6 Eastern. What is it you sent us that we'll be playing?
So yesterday I was down with a group from the nations who have come to Israel to celebrate the Feast of Tabernacles. We went down into the southern border where the terrorists broke through. And so I did a video of an area where you can literally see thousands of cars that have been destroyed, damaged, shot, blown up. Then we moved over to the Nova Festival site at Re'im and Kibbutz Be'eri area. And I did a video there as well. And I just showed a few of the memorial signs. And then there was a video that I took of down in Beersheba, which is not related to the October the 7th story, but it does talk about the patriarchs, and to the patriarchs, our land was promised. So it's just a reminder. But I do want to show everyone, if they can see, I think this is just the radio, but I have with me, sitting on my couch next to me, a survivor of October the 7th. It's my son's dog that he adopted, Brannon. And what happened is they found him in a box with all of his brothers and sisters, isolated in a box. And they took the little pups. And sadly, Stitch, he misses his brothers and sisters, but he has a loving family here. And he is one of literally thousands of dogs, cats, horses, guinea pigs that have been adopted, orphans, not to mention some of the children, many, many children who have lost their parents.
On this very solemn day, October 7th, 2025, wow, 2 years ago, it's gone so fast, and it unfolded like we said it would, but more aggressively, more hate-filled, and more on the right than we even expected. May God save America and Israel, which we know he will save Israel, the Jewish people, and the church, won't he?
This nation, having worked his way up from the enlisted ranks to full colonel, he served our country for more than 32 years. He has served as a bomber squadron commander, bomb disposal technician, Joint Chiefs of Staff Operations Officer, assisted the National Security Team with the campaign plan for the global war on terrorism. He authored the first theater nuclear war plan and served as the Vice Commander of America's largest airborne intelligence wing. Colonel Rob Maness is a true American hero. This is Rob Maness Live.
Surely he shall deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the perilous pestilence. He shall cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you shall take refuge. His truth shall be your shield and buckler. You shall not be afraid of the terror by night, nor of the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that walks in darkness, nor the destruction that lays waste at noonday. 1,000